Blood of the Dawnwalker is almost here, and we're going live with the waiting room. If you've never been on my channel before, we like to do this anytime there is a live event going on. We like to kind of do a waiting room, and we like to hang out and wait for that event to start. We like to watch all the announcements together. We like to speculate. Let me just show you what they're promising for the Blood of the Dawnwalker event. New open world gameplay, a story trailer, a release date. They put it in all caps. I think they know people are anticipating that release date. System requirements, dev insights into the game's open world and storytelling, epic music, and much, much more. And I know you might be like, hey, it's Saros Day. How are you not playing Saros? With great effort, I will tell you, we are going to wait for this event. That's what we do on this channel. We like to do those events. Let me get the timer up there for you. That's how long it's going to be. Until that event, we'll go over about 30 minutes early, which is typically what we do. We'll do a whole new stream, and then we will be jumping in to Saros gameplay today. So if you're looking for that gameplay, it'll be on the channel. Don't you worry. And I did an entire run-through of Returnal yesterday. I didn't know that was going to happen. I was just going to kind of play it and show people, hey, I think you should play Returnal before Saros comes out. And I think it was just such a great tribute to one of my favorite games. 222 hours, and yesterday we went from biome 1 to 6, one run, no deaths. It's, I think, just a great showcase of the game and how good it is, how much I enjoy it, and how much you can excel at a game like that, especially as somebody who, like, I don't really like rogues, and it's, you know, I think pretty clear from the footage yesterday that I enjoy that one quite a bit. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And Joker Quinn's going to start things off today. Han shot first, and so did you, with the first gifted member of the day. And Wilbur comes in with 14 months. Thank you so much for renewing your member. Plus, you played Saros till 3 a.m. I booted it up just to kind of fiddle around with the settings. They did something weird with dodge. They had dodge on left bumper. I'm like, left bumper? I was like, I just played all day yesterday to get back in the swing of things. I even switched my dodge button in Dead Zone Rogue to circle or B if you play on an Xbox controller. And I was like, and now you have it on left bumper? I was like, what? And they didn't have circle bound, so I moved it over. The only thing I can't figure out is if they let you do the same thing with the alt fire, how they did that in the first game. It doesn't seem like it's going to work the same way. So I don't know if I'll have to toggle that setting or not, where you hold down the trigger all the way. I didn't like that in Returnal, so I switched it to where it was my bumper. Thank you, Higgs, for 32 months, says Saros Day. Welcome on in, everybody. We are doing a waiting room for Blood of the Dawnwalker. There is an event today. Make sure as you guys come in, you go through the ritual of hitting the like button. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. They're promising new open world gameplay, a story trailer, release date, and more. Left bumper dodge is some nasty work. It is a very unique choice. I'm not really sure why they did that. Maybe they wanted you to have like the freedom of movement so that you're not necessarily using any of your using your thumbs. DP Sage with a $5 super chat. I'm playing Saros now, and all I can say is I'm looking forward to your reactions. Thank you. I booted it up, and I immediately had to take pictures. I was like, this game is just ridiculous looking. I cannot. It's just stunning how good looking the game is. Alt fire with left trigger, then fire with right trigger. That's how it is. Okay, is that what you're saying? Okay. Power weapon and alt fire take a hot minute to adjust to. Okay, so it is different. Because something that I always liked about how they did alt fire in Minstree says, Happy Saros Day. Thank you, Minstree, for renewing over there with your Prime sub on Twitch. I liked how they did alt fire in Returnal. You would hold down left bumper and then just shoot. Like, I liked that a lot. I was doing that yesterday, you know, just blasting people with my alt fire. About to fire Saros back up, just trying to get myself together. Yo, good morning, Hex. Good to see you. As you guys come in, make sure and say good morning. Put an emote or a hello in chat, and then hit that like button. Get us to the first 100 likes of the day. You got 16 screenshots already. Saros is so good. I'm so glad to hear it. Lono's anxious right now. He wants to play right now. Guys, don't torture Lono by saying you're playing right now. I'll be okay. I'll be okay. I booted it up. I was like, I gotta see this thing. The opening's pretty cool. It's very subtle. It's not, you know, it's like they're talking about how like you're the fourth team to go to Carcosia to like figure out why we lost contact with the other teams. Everybody knows that from the trailers. That's not a spoiler. So you definitely made me want to play Returnal after watching you yesterday. Definitely excited. Yeah, Dan left a funny comment. He's like, you make it look like anybody can play this game. I definitely am good at Returnal. I will own that. Like, I'm not a high-skilled player in a lot of games, but I can put on a very good showcase in Returnal. I acknowledge that. The one time I was playing Sisyphus, and both Dan and Zubair were like, it looks like he's playing a different game. This is not how I play. Like, I'm excited. Hopefully I can get to that same level of proficiency with Saros, because I really, really love Returnal. You saw Hellraiser finally got a release date, supposed to be October this year. I did not see that, no. Good morning, Lono in chat. Sorry, I won't stick around for Saros. I want to go in blind. I completely respect that. I think that you should, if you're that excited. The R1 bumper shield is a bit tricky to get the hang of. Not sure if I'm using it right. It seems like you're supposed to, from the footage I saw, it seems like you're supposed to, like, run toward blue orbs and then hit it and then run and then like collect them as you run through them. So run toward, turn it on, run through, collect them. So is Discord muted? Oh, it might be. My bad. Apologies, Discord. I did not mean to stay muted. I thought I unmuted. I've tried to be better about that. I've never played either of the games Returnal or Saros. Well, you wouldn't have been able to play Saros until like literally today. Is one a sequel? They're not literal sequels. I call it a spiritual sequel because it is essentially the same bones and schema. They're building off the first game in Saros, like as far as how you move, how you engage in combat. Apologies, Discord. Apologies. YouTube, comment, Twitch, W. That's right. Nice plain shirt today. Oh, this is from Into the AM. They're having a huge sale. I'll show it to you guys in a minute. They did send me this. This stream is not sponsored by them, but they do send me this in order to say, hey, highlight the big sale that we're doing on our plain tees. It is so stinking comfortable. It's like that t-shirt material that you want t-shirt material to be, which means you got to put it on like a hanger because it can get a little wrinkled, but it is so stinking soft. Same universe? I don't think that's been confirmed. I thought they said it wasn't the same universe. If it is the same universe, I'll be very interested to see how they draw those connections. Absorb blue orbs to power up your super weapon. Yeah, it's like an absorption thing. That's correct. The God of War armor looks nice. Cool. The shield's the hardest for me to get used to. Tap or melee. Oh, tap for melee, hold for shield. It's weird. I noticed that when I first turned it on, I was like, right bumper for melee. I was like, that's kind of weird too. I'm going to have to really adjust to this game. I'm going to have to really adjust. It's not a narrative sequel. No, just a spiritual sequel. Housemarque did such an incredible job with Returnal. I'm thrilled that somebody had the presence of mind to say, we need to do this again. Like, they nailed so much about movement and combat and everything. So if you guys are just tuning in, we're just passing the time waiting for the Dawnwalker event. Quickly, everybody hit the like button. That does help us out. Get us those first 100 likes. We've only been streaming for about 8 minutes. The control schemes took me out at first. Yeah, I thought it was going to be an adjustment for me. I did. I was like, yeah, this seems a little different. I had to move dodge to circle. I was like, there ain't no way. I put 200-something hours into Returnal with dodge on circle, not left bumper. I was like, there ain't no way I'm going to shake that muscle memory. If it's in the same universe as Returnal, what would Celine be in that world? Just some lady with psych issues. Well, I mean, what you would probably say is Astra was real and that she did indeed want to go work for them. She did want to go and explore the stars. And if this new team is, more advanced or from a further timeline, you could say that. I swore they showed a cutscene where Celine showed up as a mirage. I don't think so. I mean, they got Celine's voice actor. She voices one of the characters in Saros. So I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. It was good. Looks like they just refined it and made it better. The fact that everybody who reviewed it says that they had an easier time with it, I'm not concerned about the controls. I'll adjust. If people that were, enjoyed Returnal ended up loving this one, I'm not concerned about that. Did we cover the DRM drama? It's developing in a very strange way. I'm still waiting for an official word from Sony on it because there are people asking Sony, like PlayStation help. They're asking about it, and they're getting different answers. But SpawnWave went in and found, anything purchased after this date has this thing on it to where if you don't check in every 30 days, and it's like, why would you guys do this? You guys literally you capitalized on the fact that they did this with, the Xbox One era. It's like, I don't know why you would do this now. I thought it was going to be a glitch, and they were going to come out and say, oh, that's for PS Plus games, because that's literally makes sense. Like, that's a subscription service that you got to check in every 30 days if you want to maintain access to the subscription service games. Apparently, it's not. It's games that you purchase. And I'm like, I think the average consumer will be completely unaffected by this. So that's the big dilemma, is that not enough people are going to complain. Because very few people will be affected. How many people are downloading digital games and then going for longer than 30 days without internet? Like, that's not going to be your average consumer. So you're not going to be able to necessarily, get people mobilized to complain. People on Twitter will complain. People on Reddit and YouTube will complain. But I just don't know if you're going to have enough people. Truck drivers, but what do you mean truck drivers? They could hop on Wi-Fi for 60 seconds and you'd be good again for another 30 days. I don't think you're going to get enough people to complain. I think it's terrible. Like, I think if you download digital games that you purchased and you're on your account, you should be able to play those games. You should not have to log in, because this is the real dilemma. Let's say you're away on a trip, or you didn't have internet for a while or whatever, and you hook it back up or whatever, and if the internet's down, well, you can't play your games. You know what I mean? I don't like the idea of 30 minutes without internet. Oh, yeah, right. Imagine going 30 days without internet. Going 30 minutes without internet, it's hell. Again, do you see the problem? It's not going to affect enough people. The average person, this is going to be completely out of the frame for them. They're not even going to know it's happening. Think about the average consumer who's buying digital games. They're going to have access to internet almost all the time, so they're never going to notice that this is happening. So, that's the dilemma, is I don't think they should be doing it. You're not going to get enough consumers to complain. They're going to be like, who the frick cares? How often am I going to go without internet for 30 days? You know what I'm saying? The only people that are going to struggle with this is maybe you have to cancel your internet because times get tough, bills, maybe you're traveling, maybe your vocation, what have you. But again, you can't go to your neighbor's house and be like, this is going to seem stupid. Can I hop on your Wi-Fi for 10 seconds? Do you see what I mean? Even the people that buck up against it are going to be able to find a solution. Turn your phone into a hotspot for 10 minutes and hook your PlayStation up to it over Wi-Fi, or not over Wi-Fi, but you can treat your phone like a Wi-Fi, and then you're back in business for another 30 days. So again, I don't think they should be doing it, but I don't know if you're going to get enough consumers to mobilize and complain. PlayStation will be like, nobody's going to freaking care. The average MAU, they're probably crunching the numbers, and they're like, yeah, 91% of our MAUs have access to internet all of the time. They're checking in every 28 hours. What if I turn my console off and don't use it for more than 30 days? What happens? Well, literally, it's a timer. So if you get to the 31st day, Tommy, it doesn't matter if the PlayStation's been turned off. It's got a stamped date on it, like an expiration date. It's like, yeah, if you don't connect to the internet after this date, we're going to say that your license can't be verified. It's the reason people don't like this is because it bucks up against the idea of ownership, which we haven't had genuine ownership for a long time. You have a license to play the game. They're now saying we have to make sure that we got to double check that license with the internet every 30 days. Now, I don't know, Nick, I saw Nick's tweet. I don't know if this is related to them, somebody jailbreaking a PS5 or something. I just don't know. It's reactiveness. As soon as you log back in, though, you don't lose anything. That's why I'm saying you're not going to get consumers to complain about this. You're not. The average consumer that is downloading digital games and has a digital library, do you think they're going to go 31 days without the internet? How many times do you think that's going to happen in your lifetime? So again, the average consumer, if it doesn't affect them, they're not going to complain. They're not going to get high and mighty about digital ownership. They're going to be like, what the frick do I care? I have internet all the time. I'm never going to be without internet for 31 days. So you're not going to be able to get consumers to complain about it. I deleted that tweet because it was going to cause way too many people to be pissed at me. Yeah, it was. You think it's a bug, True SSJ Havoc? I think if enough of the press causes a stink and if enough of YouTubers say something, PlayStation might come out and say, hey, yeah, we were experimenting, sorry. Because again, I think it's completely legitimate to do a 30-day check on a subscription service game that you don't own. That's legitimate. If I install, Hello Kitty cozy game and I don't own it, but it's on PS Plus, I think it's totally fine to check every 30 days to make sure I still have PS Plus so that I can maintain access to that game because I don't own it. I think that's legitimate because that's a completely different scenario entirely. That is a subscription service model where you don't own the game. But for digital ownership to be so brazenly and alarmingly be like, you don't really own these games. Yeah, if you don't have internet for 30 days, then this PlayStation's going to be worthless. Yeah, I'm being told that it was like this entire generation, and that's why I'm confused. I said that yesterday. I said, I feel like this has done this before. I feel like my PlayStation has done this before. We have to verify your licenses before you can play these games. And I think it's because I was hopping around which was like the offline PlayStation and which wasn't. Yeah, I think what I'm being told is exactly what I thought it might have been guarding against. So right now, let me tell you what I do. If I need 3 PlayStations running at the same time, and I would like to play an offline game, it's very simple. I set my PlayStation as the offline one, and then I unplug it from the internet. And now PlayStation has no idea what I'm doing. It doesn't know if I'm actively playing a game or not. Then I set my son's PlayStation to the offline one. Why? Because if it's the offline one, it also means other profiles can play the games. So my son can load into Madam's profile and he can play Fortnite, he can play whatever. And then my daughter can turn on a PlayStation and play as me, and we're all playing at the exact same time. So hypothetically, what you could do is you could set up a PlayStation, download 20 games onto it, download as many games as you possibly can, turn it into an offline PlayStation, and you could basically have it permanently be able to play those games for forever and never have it check in. Meanwhile, you're sitting over here with another PlayStation, identical library playing, and you could do this over and over and over and over again. Basically, what you could do is you could call your friend. Think of it from this perspective. You could call your friend and be like, here's my login information. You go through two-factor with him, what have you. He logs into his PlayStation. He downloads your entire library, or most of it, like whatever games he's wanting to play. He sets that PlayStation as an offline PlayStation, and he unplugs it from the Ethernet. He now permanently has that library for as long as he wants, and he didn't spend a dime. Basically, you're basically stealing. You're basically getting access to games that you never paid for. Meanwhile, I'm in my house playing just fine. You could do this over and over and over again if there was never any requirements to log in and check in. So that's what I was saying yesterday. I was like, I feel like this has happened before with my PlayStation. It's like, we need to verify your licenses. And the reason it's doing that is because I'm hopping around in my own home, but I'm hopping around PlayStations to ensure that, like, me and my kiddos can play games at the same time. Do you see the loophole? I don't know if they're trying to close that loophole or not. Can you repeat that, please? I'm not trying to give you a guide to steal. I'm telling you, I think they're trying to put a stop to that. If that's what people are doing, I don't think they should. I think that's a very small fraction of the user base that would go to those great lengths to game share. That's why I theorize it's a bug. It doesn't affect every game, every digital game. It only affects something like Soros. Someone check for me. The reason it doesn't affect every game is they're saying that it only affects games purchased after March. There was like a March update. It's only newly purchased games. That's why I say it's a bug. It's mostly only affecting newly bought games on PS4. Really? That's interesting. It's only affecting newly bought games on PS4. They always did this with DRM, but now it's explicit. How many people are doing that? Yeah, I don't necessarily know if they should. Here's why they might want to close the loophole, casualties. Here's why. Imagine, like, what happened with Dreamcast, right? You could, like, root it, jailbreak it, and install whatever you want. There could be some sort of a loophole here where you have profiles that are just dedicated to this. They have a huge library, and they'll sell you a PlayStation. They'll sell you a quote-unquote offline PlayStation with a certain library on it of single-player games, right? You buy it for $1,000, and then yeah, I never have to buy a game ever again. It just has all the games on it. I don't know if there's ways to get there, but I'm wondering if this is some sort of a preemptive protection against that becoming a reality. Piracy is a real thing. Like, it's a real problem within the digital world of, like, people stealing stuff. Now, I'm being told physical games do not do this. So, Far Far West has entered early access. I really hope that game is successful. I hope it comes to console. It looks like such a fun game. All these online stores do this to an extent. Some people are outraged because it's PlayStation. Dreamcast was hilarious. We had stacks of pirated games waist high. Don't pirate anymore, but we were broke teenagers. My friend had one. I went to his house. I couldn't believe it when I did it. I was like, wait, so I can play any game? Like, literally any game? I was like, okay. Like, okay. If you don't want to be reliant on the internet, then don't use online stores, says Hidden Seer. Not sure it's a loophole. Steam does the exact same thing, but you have to reconnect after a certain time. They are very aware you can do this. Well, if Steam is doing the same thing, then they're aware of the same thing that people might do, so that makes it a nothing burger. If PlayStation's doing the same thing that Steam is doing, because yes, conceivably you could do the same thing with Steam. You could buy all these games, right? You could give your friend your login information. He could log in, download all the games, and then disconnect from the internet and just play them to his heart's content. And then Steam would have no idea that that's happening. So that entire library is being accessed by somebody else. So the assumption would be eventually you've got to plug in and verify the licenses again to be like, hey, wait a minute. Again, I just don't know how these platforms handle it. I've never checked it because I'm always on the internet. I don't think about these things. Ice Cold says, this issue isn't the DRM for me. I think we all understand it. It's the secrecy and hiding that I don't like. Why not be up front? Thank you for the £5. That's why I'm saying I don't think this is new. I swear to you, my PlayStation has done this to me before. Like a year ago, it did this to me. It was like, we need to verify your licenses. And I was like, what? And it was because I was hopping around. I was changing what was the offline console. And it was like, we need to verify your licenses before you can play. Did Lono finally run out of graphic t-shirts? No, Into the AM is running a plain t-shirt promotion, and so they sent me one. Steam does the same. Yeah, if Steam does the same thing, I don't know. If this is just common practice in this day and age, where people are commonly trying to find loopholes for game sharing, then I just don't freaking care. Like, I don't like it. I think it's a huge wake-up call that we don't in a genuine way have ownership of these games, because the licenses have to be It's not like a physical game where if I give it to you, I can't play it anymore. Like back in the day, if like I handed you a cartridge, I can't play now. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I have like a dozen of their t-shirts. I can vouch for them. Do we still have the shirt? I don't even know what the shirt command is. Is the shirt command, it should be into the AM. If it's not, we'll do that. They're doing a thing today. Let's see. intotheam.com/Lono, or use code Lono at checkout. Yeah. They're doing a big thing. I'll show it to you in just a second. Adcom t-shirt. Use code Lono or this link. I don't know what the shirt command does on YouTube now. We might have deleted it. I'll do a new one. Yeah, and somebody's telling me who's kind of got some of the inside baseball on this is like, you don't share this with the public. If you're trying to block loopholes and you're trying to stop people from finding ways, to share games and not purchase games, you're not going to share that with the public and be like, hey, by the way, we closed a loophole, for game sharing or game piracy. I'm glad you guys are talking about this today because mine's been doing it because I've been jumping back and forth between 2 PlayStation 5s and letting my kids do the same thing. I was doing this last year and getting the warning every now and again. It'd be like, we need to verify your licenses. And this is how I figured out you have to unplug one of them from the internet, because like if you don't do that, if you unplug them from the internet after they've opened a game, it makes you wait like 15 minutes. So if I would set up my daughter's PlayStation as an offline PlayStation and I would load up one of my games on my profile and then I would unplug it from the internet, I would come into my office and play and they'd be like, you can't play right now. Your account was recently playing this game. As far as they're concerned, like, wait a minute, you can't play in 2 places. Like if she's plugged into the internet and I'm plugged into the internet and I load up a game, it kicks her out of her game. It's like you can't play on the same profile in 2 places. So you have to unplug from the internet before you open the games. I have 3 PS5s. If I jump between them too fast, I have to verify all my licenses. This is not a new thing at all. Yeah, that's why yesterday I was so confused. I was like, I don't feel like this is new. I feel like I've had to do this. Like, I don't think the average person runs into this because the average person has 1 PlayStation. And they're not hopping around and doing these weird loopholes for game sharing. I don't know. Let me do this thing very, very quickly here. Okay. So you guys have noticed, you've made jokes. I have a plain t-shirt on. This is probably one of the most comfortable shirts I've ever been sent by Into the AM. You know I love their graphic tees. You know I've got a ton of their t-shirts. They've sent me so many over the years. So right now they're having a big sale on their basic tees. Okay? So up to 57% off the packs. So if you buy a pack that's usually like $90, like this 3-pack is like $50. All right? So not bad at all. If you're in the market for some nice, they look nice, that's like $16, almost $17 a t-shirt. That's not bad when a lot of t-shirts are now getting around $20 to $25, even if you go to like Target or something. So you can get a 3-pack. You can do a custom 3-pack. It's a little bit more if you want to customize it. This 3-pack right here, I think those are great colors. A little patriotic going on there. And then we got 9-pack here. Wait, hang on. Why did it lower it? The 9-pack is 114. Maybe you have to build the pack singles. Are they out of that one already? It looks like their website's being a little funky. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Oh, maybe if I go up to 9, will it do it? I don't know. I can't quite tell here. So right now I have 6. Let's go up to 9. Yeah, okay, there we go. I can go up to 9 and it's the $114. So intotheam.com/Lono or use code Lono at checkout. That supports me. and you guys will enjoy some of the most ultra soft shirts you can get your hands on. So I appreciate them working with me. They've sent me so many shirts over the years. Seeds is saying, I had an employee message me, and this has been embedded within the PlayStation ecosystem since the launch of the PS5 to be online within 30-day window. There was a system update on this time, so this has been there the whole time. That's what I said yesterday. I was like, I don't think this is new. $114 for 9 shirts is crazy to me. In like a good way or a bad way? That's like $12.50 a shirt. That's really good. For the quality of the shirts that you're getting this level of shirt for basically $13, that is a great deal, brother. I don't know if you've actually gone to the store or gone to one of these places and got like a nice t-shirt. Like the logo isn't much, that's fine, but the material is so comfortable. It's breathy, perfect for the warmer weather, like super soft and comfortable. It doesn't feel like a heavy all cotton shirt. Like $13 a t-shirt. I mean, t-shirts are dadgum expensive sometimes. Like I said, a lot of the times I'll go to the store, they're $20 and $25. So yeah, especially if you like wearing plain t-shirts, that's a really good deal. I started Returnal last night, struggling. Love the movement, love the gunplay, but I'm getting destroyed every time by the enemy that pops up when you try to... Don't do that! Oh, I forgot to say that yesterday. You'll notice I never did the avenging. Don't do that when you're new to the game. Avenging a death in Returnal, I have over 200 hours and I don't do that. Those fights are freaking annoying and they're not worth it. Also, if you ever drop down into one of the trap rooms and it starts spawning one of the really hard enemies, just freaking leave. Those fights aren't worth it either. There are numerous things in Returnal that just aren't worth doing. I don't think ever. When you drop into those rooms and it spawns a boss, I leave. And then avenging the death of another player, I'm like, this is stupid. It just isn't worth it. Do they have tall tees? I'm not sure. You'll have to check whenever you go to check the sizes. I don't know. I mean, I guess I can just reopen it right now. Let's see. Yes, they do. It's right here. Length, regular, tall. You just select the box. It looks like that's really going to limit your options. It looks like you're not going to be able to get these as tall. So you'll have to browse and see which ones go as tall. So you'd have to go to basic tees, tall, none. So if you go graphic tees, you could filter. I don't even know if that's a possibility. Can I filter according to that? Neck, sleeve, print styles. Yeah, I don't know. If you pick one of the graphic tees, no. I'm confused. Maybe there's a way to get shop. I don't know where you would go, brother. It looks like maybe the V-necks can go tall. No. I don't understand. They have it as an option, and there's literally nothing available. There's literally nothing available. Sorry, us short kings win again. Do you recommend a better button for dodge for Saros Returnal than L1? I have no idea why they have dodge on L1, homie, in Saros. I changed that immediately. I didn't even play this morning. I booted it up, took a couple pictures, and when I went to dodge, I was like, what the frick? So I pushed all the buttons, and I was like, left bumper for dodge. I switched it to to circle. I want to see your live reaction to Saros. You just had to boot it up. I didn't do anything. I literally took a picture and I changed a weapon binding. I changed the dodge binding. I'm definitely not a V-neck t-shirt man. Crew all day. Yeah, I've never liked V-necks either. There's something about, like, if this looks loose or away from my neck, I think it looks, like, weird. It doesn't look nice. Creature says we're used to that. Yeah, I'm sure you tall guys are used to that crap. There is definitely advantages to being a short king. Like, it's never hard for me to buy pants, shoes or shirts. They always have my size. I wish I could circle dodge in Pragmata. I know that I think I did Pragmata's dodge on Bumper because I had been using Bumper in Sworn, and then Madam and I used Bumper in Dead Zone Rogue. So I kept messing up yesterday in Returnal and using my consumables with right bumper. So I played Returnal all day, for almost 5 hours yesterday and did a full run. Which, guys, be sure to check that out if you missed that. It's a full run. It's all 6 biomes, no death. That's actually the first time I've ever done that. I realized that yesterday after I shut down. I have never done a run-through of Returnal from biome 1 to 6 in one sitting. I would usually get to 4 and run from 4, and I would usually do that on another time. I've never done 1 through 6 in one sitting like that. I will be playing Sorrows today, yes. So if you want to see a full run-through of Returnal from... I consider myself to be like low-key expert in Returnal. Over 200 hours. I have the Platinum. I play it pretty well. That's there if you want to see somebody do a full run-through with no deaths. I've been a plain color t-shirt fanboy since I turned 30. I love a good graphic tee. Into the AM was switching the contact person, and I stopped getting shirts. And I was like, well, I'm not going to sit here and keep promoting the product if I'm not getting any communication. So typically that's what we do when we activate with them. They send us new shirts. I promote the new shirts, and then we continue to do that. So for my original Returnal run, I used Bumper for dodge because it's easier to jump and dodge quickly than hitting X and 0. The bumpers are easier to hit while moving the camera. I discovered that I liked that as well with the right bumper for dodge, AOZ. I discovered that playing Sworn and Dead Zone Rogue with my wife. I was like, I actually kind of like this. But then when I went back to Returnal, I couldn't switch it to bumper. I couldn't figure out how to do it. I went into the settings and I'm like, I cannot figure out how to rebind the buttons in Returnal. I'll just get used to using circle again. I thought you did a full run years ago. That was an epic stream. I don't think I did it from Biome 1, though. I think I got to Biome 4 and stopped. I don't know if there's a full run on the channel 1 through 6 until yesterday. Because I feel like they fixed Biome 3, and I finally went back in. Yeah, there's a 3-hour stream where I beat Biome 3. And then there's a 3-hour stream where I beat Biomes 4, 5, and 6. I'm telling you, I've never played Returnal Biome 1 through 6 in one sitting. I've never done it. That's the first time I've ever done it in 200 hours. And it's a just under 5-hour stream. I am thrilled that I was able to do that. I think it's just such a good send-off to Returnal as we go into Sorrows today. One of my all-time favorite games, beginning to end. Yeah, Nick, Lone Wolf put that in the Discord like 2 comments up. I never avenge a dead scout. Me holding triangle for the 60th time just to die 1 minute later saying skill issue. I can't, dude. I can't do it. I don't like fighting those freaking avenge scout fights. I don't think they're worth it. You usually get like an item or something. It's not even that good. If you guys are just tuning in, we are going to be watching this here. Blood of the Dawnwalker. Their event goes live today. It goes live in 2 hours, and we're going to be watching it. There's going to be new open world gameplay, a story trailer, a release date, system requirements, dev insights into the game's open world and storytelling, epic music, and much, much more. We're obviously talking Returnal and Sorrows because it's Sorrows Day, and, I could have sworn on a stack of Bibles you did a full run, but I believe you. You're probably remembering the run where I started at 4, because that does feel like a fresh run. Once you beat Biomes 1 through 3, you always start at 4, unless you decide to reset and go back to 1, which most people aren't going to do that unless they are doing something very specific. So, yeah, starting at Biome 4, you might have assumed, oh, this is a fresh run, because it was a fresh run. It just wasn't a fresh run from Biome 1. You make the game look like anyone can play it. I can't. It's not even fun for me. I know, Dan, I told him about your comment this morning. I was like, Dan left a comment and was like, you make it look like anybody can play this game. And I'm like, well, anybody can. You just, you just have to, you got to work at it. You going to do Pragmata on Lunatic? No, I don't typically go back into games and go to the crazy levels of difficulty. I don't like doing that. Now, to figure out what to do with Shield as R1, because I can't stand the Eagle Claw way of playing. You shouldn't be... Well, I say that and I haven't played. Based on the footage I've seen, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you to do the shield and the shooting at the same time. It looks like when you're shielding, you're running through projectiles. You know what I mean? Lona be lying when he says he doesn't like to sweat in games. I'm not sweating in Returnal. What do you mean? I don't sweat in Returnal. I'm a god in that game. There's no sweat at all. I'm as cool as a cucumber. Couple of times it got pretty close. Couple of times I got a little irritated because I'm like, oh, I hate these guys. But I ain't sweating, bro. Returnal's like a light jog for me. That's a light jog. I forget how hard the game is until I get into a room and don't have a great weapon. I get smacked around and I'm like, yeah, this game can be dadgum brutal. It can be absolutely brutal. Sometimes I forget because I played the game so much. It's so much of it's second nature to me. It's just second nature to me. Like, I don't think. A lot of what I'm doing in that game is pure reflex. You do anything for that amount of hours and it's going to become second nature. Yeah, there you go. These fools could never make me sweat. Yeah, that game doesn't make me sweat. Jump, Hugh. Jump, Hugh. Shoot him in its mouth. It's wide open. Hugh. I love Returnal. I remember completing my first run in 18 hours. After that is a very, very fast game. It's fast every game. It's like the top 5 hardest plats. I think people are completely misrepresenting that information. I'm not saying you're doing that, Brian, but people are really misrepresenting that. The reason it's one of the hardest platinums is because a bunch of it's related to RNG. So you could be having a really crappy run, and you finally get a run where the glyph appears, and you die before you can get the glyph. You can golf for 200 hours and still suck. Maybe if you've golfed for 200 hours and you still suck, maybe you just should put golf away. You know what I'm saying? If you're having fun, who cares? But if you're going and playing golf after 200 hours and you've not improved, you're still garbage and having a bad time, maybe you should take up something else. Like, I don't know, maybe take up Mahjong or something. You guys talking about dodge. Try to put jump and dodge on the back buttons. That worked for me with other games. Yeah, I can't do that. My muscle memory doesn't like back paddles. I like the position of the back paddles. I like the small back paddles for the DualSense Edge. I really do. But I can't do it. My mind doesn't get into gear. I'm just constantly wanting to use all the default buttons. If you guys are tuning in for the Blood of the Dawnwalker stream, I got a countdown right here. It goes live in 2 hours. We're going to watch it together. Then we're going to play some Saros. So we'll be playing Saros around 2 o'clock. So, I can't live without paddles now. Yeah, that was my other thought, is if I go that hard with the paddles and get used to them, and then something happens to where I don't have them or can't play with them, I would prefer to not deal with that. I would prefer to not deal with that. My muscle memory loves back paddles, if you know what I mean. I'm not sure if you're telling us something else. Golf for 200 hours... and you're not a golfer. Shut up, Dan. I'm not reading the rest of that. Ever since the DualSense Edge came out, I can't play without my back paddle. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to be in that scenario. I do not want to be in that scenario where, like, I need my back paddle controller or I can't play. So I just make do. I'll figure it out. I'll figure out whatever I got to do with the default controller and the default control schemes. Yo, what's good, Feed? I see you in the chat over there. I had melee on the back paddles in Returnal. It was so satisfying. Yeah, I'm going to be very interested if they let me change melee. Melee on the bumper. I'm like, what the frick? Melee on the bumper? Melee was always on square. That's such a silly worry. Are you some kind of pro gamer that always needs to be able to dominate? No, but I just don't want to be in a scenario where, like, I mean, I guess I would always have the controller and just could plug it in or whatever if it's, like, dead. I just like being able to be at my nephew's or be at a friend's house or be in my own house and just grab a controller and go. Not like, oh, I don't have my back pedals. You know, I don't know. I'm just never, part of it is, too, it's like a learning curve for me. I'd have to, like, get good at using the back paddles. And I'm like, I just don't feel like doing that. I hate taking my hands off the analog stick for cameras. That's every Souls game. I want less buttons, not more. Bring back a D-pad and 2-button controllers like the Nintendo days. Yeah, it was a simpler time back then. You could jump and you could attack, and that was pretty much it. Lord of Hatred's out today. It looks like people are really liking it. I saw a cinematic, and I was like, holy crap, the boys at Blizzard can cook up some just crazy cinematics. They're on another level. I don't know if anybody matches their ability to do cinematics. You know what I mean? Naughty Dog's got some pretty impressive moments in, like, Uncharted 4 that feel like you're watching a dadgum action movie. But in the realm of fantasy and setting up these epic scenes, I don't think anybody can match Blizzard. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody match Blizzard with their cinematic quality. I still remember the cinematic from Warcraft 3 where homie comes back and the rose petals are falling. I still remember that. That's how powerful that cinematic was. It's just absurd, the skill level over there. How devs think your thumb looks. Yeah, like some kind of mutant super long thumb. Riot has some pretty amazing cinematics for League. I don't know, man. I'm here to tell you. I've seen a lot of game cinematics in my day. Larian? No, dude. No. Nobody touches Blizzard. When I was watching the secret level episodes, I was like, this just proves that this is what Blizzard should be doing. Because a lot of the episodes were at that quality. They reminded me of Blizzard cinematics, and they were cartoons, they were movies, they were short movies, almost like short films. And I'm like, Blizzard should just make shows. Like, I would watch every single one. I would watch a Diablo show, dude. You know, I would watch a Warcraft show. Just let them make shows. I don't even play Blizzard games, and they get me hyped. That's what I'm saying. Like, you're like, what game is that? Like, it's Diablo, and you're like, I'm not really interested in Diablo, but dadgummit, that cutscene was fire. I'll watch that again. Let me see it. You know, that was the crazy thing about Diablo 4 is I actually thought the cinematics and the story and the writing were all, I thought, excellent. I thought it was very good. It was the game itself that faltered. How much for Lord of Hatred? I don't know. Did somebody in chat know the price? I would assume it's around 30, 40 for something like that, an expansion like that. Or are they being real nice and selling it for 20? Trailers are better than the games. It happens. It happens. All those Diablo 4 cinematics, they were better than the games. If you guys are just tuning in looking for Blood of the Dawnwalker, I got a countdown right next to me. We're going to be watching the Blood of the Dawnwalker live reveal. It'll have a release date for you finally. And then I will be playing Sorrows today. And I tweeted this last night. What the heck? Oh, so there's the image. The 12th game of 2026 that I've completed, Pragmata. After 28 hours and all the post-campaign challenges, is an easy 9.5 out of 10 for me. The best new IP this gen since Returnal or Expedition 33. It is truly a special game. It is truly. If it weren't for Saros or Control Resonant, I would say this thing would be uncontested. It would probably end up being my favorite game this year. But Saros is probably going to take that crown. Control Resonant could edge this game out. But it's going to be freaking tough. I'm going to tell you that right now. When we originally saw trailers for Pragmata, I never thought it would be a game that would be competing for like my favorite of the year. I never thought that for a minute. It was so obscure. It was so strange. Does Saros count as a new IP? It counts as a new IP the same way Elden Ring counts as a new IP. Like, yeah, but not really. We had this conversation, I think, last week. I was like, Elden Ring's a new IP, but not really. Like, Saros is a new IP, but not really. Like, it's built on the bones of an existing IP. It's, you know what I mean? Would you put Saros in the new IP category? Yeah, sorry. Stream delay. Yeah, a little bit of stream delay there. Yeah, like, it is, but it isn't. Like, I would really like to give Pragmata props for being a brand new IP, a completely new combat system. That somebody somewhere had to tell them that was a bad idea, and they did it anyway. Somebody somewhere had to be like, you guys are crazy. You can't have people doing hacking in the middle of combat. What? So you're going to be having them hitting not complex, but like you're going to be having them navigate a grid with their buttons while actively dodging and getting away. Nobody's going to want to do that. And everybody's like, this is awesome. Like, they built an entirely new combat system. They nailed it, man. They nailed it. I really, I think there's room. I think there's room for another one, 100%. You mean you're about to shoot? You need to do a puzzle first? What about Stellar Blade, though? What about it? Oh, you're saying you can't think of many new IPs this gen. Yeah, Stellar Blade's fine. I thought Stellar Blade was good. I wouldn't put it up there with like an Expedition 33 or a Returnal or a Pragmata. These to me are triumphs, right? Like I wish Control would have come out this gen, because Control is another triumph to me. It's just a brand new IP that just is just unbelievable, right? So no, I don't necessarily know if I would think of Stellar Blade as like, oh yeah, it's one of the better new IPs this gen. Like, I think to your point, there haven't been a lot of new IPs this gen because this gen's reaping the success of last gen. Ratchet and Clank, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Spider-Man 2, Horizon Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok, Gran Turismo 7, Ghost of Yotei, Death Stranding 2, you know. In Saros is kind of in that category of like, it's basically a sequel. Like, this gen has been, and Control Resonance a sequel. This gen's dominated by sequels because we had a lot of bangers last gen. It's like, we'll make another one. You know, people complain about sequels, but it's like, that'll never make any sense to me. Is anybody going to complain if Pragmata gets a sequel? Like, of course not. All this talk about current and previous gens. Are we talking about my dating life? I mean, do you only date gens? Like, is that like a deal breaker? Like, you sit down and you're like, okay, so let's just get this out of the way. All right, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. What is your name? She's like, Stephanie? You're like, all right. You seem very nice, but I'm out. Like, you're just incensed. You're just incensed. You can't find a gen to save your life. You know what I mean? Oh, you're at the bar complaining. Some guy's like, hey, you can call me Jen if you like. Stellar Blade's combat system had no business being as good as it is. Yes. Yeah, I thought Stellar Blade was very good. It was like an intersection between, to me, it felt like Sekiro and an action game. Like, I really liked it. I have a very, very specific type, and I won't settle. Hoping there's an Alan Wake 3. What happened to the film adaptation? I didn't even know they were doing a film adaptation of that. If you guys are looking for Blood of the Dawnwalker, I got a countdown next to me. You can just hang out here and watch it with us. Half the girls I went to high school were named Jennifer or Jessica. Yeah, and you're looking for a gen. So Zubair's just letting us know you like white women, huh? I mean, that's fine. I do too. I married one, but I mean, you know. We're just learning all about Zubair this morning, you know. Between Control and Alan Wake, I think Remedy might be one of the best in the business in the storytelling department. They're very good. Yeah, I would put them in the top class. With respect to storytelling, I'd put them up there with like Naughty Dog. I put them up there with Santa Monica. I also think is very good at storytelling. Yeah. You beat Stellar Blade with one hand. A lot of guys did. Yeah. A lot of guys did, especially when it came to Steam. It was really interesting. At the same time every night, the user base would spike in activity for about 15 minutes, you know? And then like I said, I have a very, very specific type. That's right. Is it, Zubair, is it weird to see like a more handsome version of you starring in Sorrows? What's it like? What's it like seeing him sit with Alana Pierce? That has to be weird, you know, because she's a total babe and he's a total babe. You know, what's that like for you, Zubair? We need to know. It's got to be a weird experience. You're like, what timeline? I'm on the wrong timeline. This is BS. 15 minutes. What are they doing? Lighting candles? Some people want a little ceremony, Dan. He looks like a younger version of me. I think my salt and pepper now is sexy. Oh, I agree. I think salt and pepper and a beard is very handsome. If not dapper or sexy. It can be many things. It's just got to be weird seeing a version of yourself in a video game, or, you know, dating Alana Pierce. I told you I showed my mom that trailer and she was like, "Why are you in the game?" You're like, "Well, I've been waiting to tell you about this one, Mom." I made it. I made it to the big time. Rahul Kohli's like, "Hey, wait a minute now." That's not fair. Oh, golly. That's funny. Motivation. Yeah. Yeah. Malice One says, "I'm so good I switch." I'm not reading that out loud. Mom thought you had a secret life, you know. I'm very proud of you. I can't do the accent. I don't know what she sounds like. I can just hear her saying, "I'm very proud of you, Zuby." Now come to the mosque with me. Oh, man. Make your mom happy. Gee, many Christmas. Well, we're trying to kill some time, y'all. We got about 2 hours until the Blood of the Dawnwalker event. When you're trying to compete with video game characters, yeah, that's rough. That's a rough life. Rough life. You know, like Alana Pierce, but she's fine AF. I mean, I don't get why people get so upset with her. I actually think she's very funny. I think her comedic timing with videos irritates me. I'm like, man, I wish I could do this. I think she's really good at making videos. I think they're funny. Well, chat, let's check the gaming feeds. There's we can't gush on Saros and Pragmata all morning and Returnal. We got to see what's going on. Marathon hit new player lows. That's always a worry. 1 to 4 player co-op surfing / action RPG. Oh yeah, I remember the trailer for this. It'll be on Steam December 16th. Well, you can play the demo now. It's like a top-down. So, people's gripes with Alana almost always some BS. Yeah, I've noticed that. It's usually like complete misrepresentation of things that she's said, which I'm very familiar with that. You know, that's just a whole meta of that now. Hatred based in falsehood. It's like, okay, I hate you. you do this. And I'm like, I've never done that. What are you talking about? It's just the world we live in. There's a normal gaming story now. Marathon new player lows. Yeah, Zubair watching interviews with Raul Coley and Alana Pierce. It should have been me. Golly, look at his hair. Listen, I'm just gonna be honest about this. I'm gonna be 100% honest. Okay, I don't know what this means. I don't know what kind of analysis there. I looked at him first. You know what I did? I looked at him first. I was like, Dad gum, that's some nice hair. And that beard. Those thick eyebrows. Who's this person in the video? Who's that? Who's that woman? I looked at him first. I was like, look at that hair, man. Anyway, show's getting a little gay. Sorry, boys. Photoshopping his face into the pic. Yes, Zubair photoshops himself into the picture. This is what my life could have been. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. Dawnwalker has no release date. We are learning the release date today. They have said that. They have a tweet, and they have said you're going to get new open world gameplay, a story trailer, release date, system requirements, dev insights in the game's open world and storytelling, epic music, and much, much more. So, hair's so nice it breaks immersion. That's right. Lono is streaming from the closet as we live and breathe. It's like this. I'm not a car guy. I don't know what any of the terminology means. I don't know what engine this or engine that. But when a really cool muscle car drives by and it's... I look. I'm not a car guy. I'm not interested in buying or having or even going to car shows. But when a really nice one drives by, so I'm not gay. But when there's a really handsome man, I'm like, well, that's a handsome man. I'm sorry. I'm just admiring the Lord's work, his handiwork. He gave some of these guys a little extra in that department, and it's a little unfair to the rest of us. So instead of being jealous, I just admire it. Did he just motorboat the car? That's not possible, Ginger. I've tried. No dream car? No. I've never been into cars. Yeah, I've never been into cars. So, like, there are guys that can tell you the date. They can look at a car and be like, yeah, that's a 1971 Mustang with the blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it looks cool. I want to go up and look at the interior and kind of like, because I like the old interiors, like the old steering wheels, all the knobs, right? And the leather seating. Yeah, I don't know what just happened. YouTube just had a freaking conniption. I don't think it's my internet. We didn't drop frames, and I don't think Twitch batted an eye. So that was something. Yeah, something's going on with YouTube. It happened again. If it keeps happening, I'll switch ingest servers. It looks like it's stabilized, but yeah. Yeah, you like the knobs. That's right. I mean, Chad, have you ever looked inside an old car? You ever looked inside an old car? There's a lot of knobs in there. I like the seats too. Oh man, some of those seats, like all of the stitching, and like there's like almost like a pattern in the stitching, and like it's like that old school leather. Yeah, I'm gonna switch ingest. Okay, I just switched to the backup ingest server. Something's wrong with the main ingest server of YouTube. That was terrible. So we'll see if this isn't any better. It's not my internet. It's not my internet because Twitch is as solid as a rock. Twitch hasn't had a single issue. So hopefully that fixed it. Yeah. Just refresh. Let everybody in chat know they just need to refresh. Yeah, it looks like rock solid now. That happens sometimes. How much do you like car seats? Toyota's car seat gaming chair hybrid, monstrously expensive. I actually don't like that style of seat at all. I sat in a DX Racer for years, and when I switched to like an actual ergonomic chair, I was like, oh my gosh, what have I been sitting in? You don't have like 2 internet providers? No way it's that. Well, AT&T fiber is just rock solid. The only time it acts up is if they're doing some kind of maintenance, and the maintenance is usually very quick. That wasn't maintenance. That was clearly a YouTube ingest server problem, because I switched ingest servers and the problem went away. So they do that sometimes. I think it's YouTube doing something with the primary ingest server, and you're just best to get off of it when it's doing that. They might be doing updates. They may be doing their own maintenance. Who knows? So a great way to help us when that happens. Blips are really painful because YouTube interprets it as viewership loss, and it's not really viewership loss. Make sure and go crazy on the like button. We're in a really weird spot with memberships. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know if it's because we aren't doing members content or whatever, but check those renewals. We really need folks to pick up their own memberships. I'm not going to belabor that point, but that is a significant challenge that we faced in the 5 years that I do this. This thing doesn't work. This thing that we do doesn't work without that direct support. So if you watch on a regular basis and you think, $5, there's no way my $5 could help, it genuinely and severely helps. Like, you guys that are paying for your own memberships, I thank you very much for doing that. We need more and more folks to do that, and that has just been a continued challenge on YouTube. So consider picking up your own membership. It makes the gifting memberships a lot more effective for new folks, but it also makes it not so necessary. And then the goal is a lot easier to hit because there's constantly people renewing every week. Any Arc Raiders players checking out the new map? Thank you, Metal Matt, for VIP. Dear Lono, I hope this renewal notice finds you well. Please acknowledge my Prime. I see that. Matt with the Prime on purple, and then a YouTube renewal as well. Thank you so much, sir. Young me. Yeah, that 100% looks like yes, very much. They put you into the game. It's renewal day. Thank you for that renewal. Very, very much. I appreciate it. As we got bad news for PlayStation, when do we get bad news for Xbox? I'm being told that DRM thing has been in for a while. Jay, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. I appreciate it. I've had that DRM thing pop up before. It's not new. They've been doing it for a long, long time. I think the reason that nobody caught it and the reason that nobody complained is, how often are you going without internet for 30 days? That's the only reason you would catch it. You'd be like, oh yeah, I haven't plugged my PlayStation into the internet for 30 entire days. You missed a super chat earlier? Hang on. Let me refresh. I missed a super chat. Let me put this to the fan funding page. Oh, Lono wants to get his oil checked. Thank you so much for the joke, Buttery Cheeks. You're the best. I appreciate it. That is very kind of you. And okay, there we go. I thanked all those others. All right. He's not wrong. PlayStation bad news. Microsoft hold my beer, but we'll see. Sneaky Wolf for 35 months. Remember, you can think whoever is handsome or hot, etc. It's never gay unless you go full. This is correct. And that gets us to 68 members on the week. Thank you very much. What killed Xbox was not being able to loan games out. Games were tied to the console. Yeah, people are making a comparison, and they have the screenshot of Shuhei Yoshida and that other guy passing a game to each other, and I'm like, what's funny is you can still do that because this is not about physical release games. Yo, Behemoth with 61 months and a VIP plus. Thank you so much. Finally past the 5-year mark. Thanks, Lono, for the amazing content. Thank you. I appreciate that, Behemoth. Thank you very much. And a single gift that comes in from Joker Quinn and gets us to 70. We're 5 away from 75. It took me 6 years to notice the thing that PlayStation is doing. What terrible news. Yeah, we're 6 years into the gen, and people are like, oh, I can't believe they're doing this. And it's like, it's been in place the entire time. I have to sign into PlayStation, though. You mean you have to sign into your accounts to access the games you purchased on your account? Yeah, that's pretty much standard on all consoles right now. That's on my Switch too. And a 5-bomb comes in from Wired Rope and steals it. It's tied 7-7. Boys, we need a banner week. Broken Earth comes in with a 5-bomb and gets us to 80. We are now 20 away. FYI, Xbox has the same DRM, and theirs is more stringent. They have stories about it at the start of the generation. Thank you so much, Broken Earth. So, if both platforms are doing, I just don't understand. And Behemoth comes in with a 5-bomb. There it is. We need a banner week, boys. We missed it last week. We missed the goal. Let's go for stretch this week. Standard for anything. You got to sign in for your TV shows, movies, music. Yeah, like I have to sign into Amazon to watch my movies there that I purchased. I don't. And a 5-bomb comes in from Siege Master and gets us to 90. We got a little bit of a 5-bomb train going on. This is the way, boys. This is the way. We don't need to sit around and wait for people to drop 50 bombs and 20 bombs. We can do a 5-bomb train all the way to the goal. We're going to be singing, we're going to be signing into our toilets before long. That's right. Steam controller out. I've not seen anything other than, like, leaks. It looks like it's very, very soon to happen. Very, very soon. But I haven't seen anything but the leaks. That's all I've seen. Oh, Constance comes to consoles in 3 days. I thought that game looked really, really good. It's out on May 4th. That's a really weird day to compete with Attention. It has a vid out. Oh, they did release a vid. May 4th, $99. I totally didn't see that yesterday. I was in Returnal all the way until dinner. I didn't even see that they actually did that. This guy's saying he got this response from PlayStation support. They said, I understand there's been a lot of discussion online about digital games purchased after late March requiring authentication every 30 days. I know how worrying that can sound. At this time, there's no requirement for players to re-authenticate their digital purchases every 30 days. If you bought a digital game in late March, you will still be able to play it and access and play your game normally even after 30 days have passed. We're getting conflicting information from PlayStation as well. They don't even seem to know. PlayStation's answering people and saying that you don't have to do it. You don't have to re-authenticate. And I'm like, but I've done it. I've done the re-authentication. I don't think these PlayStation people are correct. I've literally done it. I owe Twitch a member. Let me do that now. We are 10 away from the next milestone. Who's going to steal this one? A 10 bomb to secure the first 100 of the week. That'll put us back on pace for the week. There we go. There's my gifted to purple. Steam controller is going to be $99. So is it going to be purchasable on May 4th? Oh yeah, available May 4th. Why is it $100 though? Does it do anything more than like a DualSense or an Xbox controller? No. Okay. I mean, it looks nice, but that seems, a little higher in price. But I guess with the current hardware situations, it's not that surprising that something's coming out higher than the average premium in the existing market. Wait, what do we have incoming? You have a limited time to earn the exclusive Golden Kappa emote for 24 hours. We have a Golden Kappa train on Twitch. So if you guys want, just like last week, you guys went crazy with the discount train. This is a time to go crazy on Twitch. Holy crap. That's rare, isn't it? That doesn't happen very often. Battery life on the controller has been confirmed through testing. TMR, joysticks, 35-hour battery life, trackpads, paddle controls in the back. I think it's more so competing with a DualSense Edge or an Xbox Pro controller. Well, if it's at the level of a DualSense Edge, then yeah, I would say $100 is a great price then. That's the only emote I need. Yeah. Broken Earth says he wants some of that golden kappa, and he drops a 5-bomb on Twitch to help the train along. Thank you so much. Wired Rope gifts a single and bumps it to 96. Thank you so much, Wired Rope. If the new Steam controller is $100, how much is the Steam machine going to cost? Nobody knows. I think they've been very, very slow to confirm a price on the Steam machine. And the Malice one decides to drop a 5-bomb, and there it is, the Agents of Chaos to push us past 100 even. We're at 101. IO Purple, another member. If you guys typically throw a lot of support my way every week to help with the goal, it's a really great time to do it over there on Twitch with the Golden Kappa train. That can actually help us. I think that might throw us higher in the directory. I don't actually know how it works, but you get the Golden Kappa. My friend's cabin in northern Sweden has no internet or any cell phone coverage. It'll be interesting to see how the PlayStation 5 he bought from me fares, although I don't think he has any digital games. Nice green shirt. Thank you. We are, guys, if you use the shirt command, I needed to do that. Hang on. What's the shirt command? Does it still work on YouTube? Oops. Let's see if it still works on YouTube. It might not. There it is. Yeah, use my code. Use code LONO or go to intotheam.com/LONO. They're doing a big plain t-shirt sale right now, and they are super comfortable, and that does support me. A $10 super chat from the OA. This guy's arguing on X that he'll change to PC because Steam offline mode is infinite. Like, you're going to use Steam and be indefinitely offline? Yeah, what the heck? And a 5-bomb from Ginger over there on Purple. Ginger Prime spreading around his support. He goes crazy on YouTube, and now he's going crazy on Purple. Thank you so much. He leveled up the Kappa train to a 5. It's a toner because Steam users will pay thousands. Yeah, but to respond to the super chat, the OA, yeah, I don't understand. Like, 100 bits from RP Gaming. Thank you very much. You can't play Black Ops 7 Zombies offline. You need an internet connection. I mean, the Kaiser Soze, thank you so much for gifting a member over there on Purple. I understand that the DRM thing, let's just say that it's true, even though PlayStation is responding to people as if it's not true. I think it's been in place literally since the gen has started. And the reason that nobody caught it is because it's incredibly unlikely to cause an issue. You would basically have to have a digital library, not physical, and a 5-bomb comes in from Metal Matt on YouTube and takes the lead back from Twitch. English O gifts a member over there on Purple and gets us to 113. I don't know. Do you unlock the Golden Kappa? You have to just contribute to earn this. So you just have to contribute to the train. And English O drops a 5-bomb over there as well and gets us to 118. Thank you very, very much. English O is supporting on both platforms with super chats and gifteds. I appreciate that. It could cause an issue. PSN RP Gaming with 100 bits over there on Purple, adding to the train. It could cause an issue if PSN ever got hit again. How could it cause an... Oh, no. That only matters, though, if it's been longer than 30 days, Omar. So the odds of like, oh, it's been 30 days for whatever reason, I haven't had internet for 30 days, you go to plug back in after 30 days, and at that moment in time, PSN is down. And 100 bits from Commando G-Man, thank you. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, well, yeah, I suppose that could happen. But as long as it's done its stupid license check in the last, 30 days... then you're not gonna have an issue. I don't I just, you can say offline indefinitely with Steam, but it depends on the games themselves. Somebody said in chat earlier, is this true? That eventually Steam has to verify it as well? They have to verify like your license, your purchase or whatever? Is that true? That like every so often, like even Steam has to be like, hey, what do you got going on? You know, you gotta log in here. I'll say it, if you're running gaming in 2026 and you're off the internet for 30 days at a time, you're up to no good. Wouldn't say they're up to no good. There could be very, very unique circumstance. There could be very, very unique circumstances that might dictate that somebody doesn't have internet for long stretches of time. Again, that's what I was saying this morning is the average consumer is not going to complain about this because the average consumer is going to have no clue that it's going on. They're going to have no clue. They're going to be like, what? What circumstances? Maybe they travel to a remote area. Maybe they're in a place where you're not allowed to have internet. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like a very, very like 0.001% of the population who has a digital library on their PlayStation is going to have stretches of time where they don't have internet for 30 days. Like it's such a small percentage. The average consumer is never going to run into this as a problem. And even then, you could take it to a friend or a neighbor's house and like, can I hop on your Wi-Fi for 5 minutes? Like that would be incredibly awkward, but like it wouldn't be that difficult to get the thing into some area of place where you could hop on Wi-Fi for a minute. Again, who's going to be dealing with this on a regular basis? I'm deployed without internet quite regularly. Kind of crappy for me. Right, there you go. Military personnel that get deployed and don't have access to internet. Then that PlayStation is screwed after 30 days unless they can get like a Wi-Fi hotspot or a phone hotspot or something. Military, I play with people in the military all the time. They have internet. You're playing with people that are actively deployed in a war zone? Like what? They might not have internet. It might be security risks. They might have them in areas where they can't get on the internet. Yo, Alex gifts another one. All right, the Golden Kappa train has exactly 1 minute left. Alex gifts another one and gets us to 120. We're 5 away from the next milestone. Thank you so much. And Cool Bama Guy resubscribed with their Prime for 2 months. Thank you so much, Cool Bama Guy. I appreciate it. And 100 bits from RP Gaming. When you move to another country, it could affect it too. And Broken Earth, with 5 gifted members, takes the milestone again for Twitch. Sure, there are windows where they can't play. They're deployed. Right. Okay, so we're establishing there are very, very unique circumstances where there are people who would not have access to internet for 30 days, and it would really, really suck for them. That's the point, is that the average consumer has no idea this has been in place since the generation started because they never run into it. I know bits are annoying, just helping the train. No, bits are not annoying. 100 bits does not annoy me. I didn't like the thing on YouTube because I couldn't set a limit. So they could do like 10 joules and send like a little poop emoji. And I'm like, this is dumb. Like, that's not, bits don't bother me at all. I just don't have the little cup of bits on the screen like I used to, 8 years ago when they first introduced it. Yeah, bits are another form of support. It doesn't bother me at all. YouTube gave me no control over it. Like, if I could set a minimum, then it's fine. It's like, but people being able to disrupt the stream for 10 cents at a time, I thought was a little silly. Most people won't notice it, so it's not a big deal as a slippery slope. I didn't say that. That's a wonderful false summary of my statement. I didn't say most people won't notice it, so it's not a big deal. That is quite literally not what I said. I said it's unlikely for anybody to complain. That's why it went unnoticed. I don't like the idea of locking down a library because you can't get access to the internet. I don't like that. I'm not in favor of that. I'm saying you're never going to get enough people to complain. You're never going to get enough people to complain. They're going to be like, I don't even know what you're talking about. When am I ever going to not have internet for 30 days? I'm not saying that makes it okay. Now, to Zubair's point, Zubair's saying he disagrees the degree of harm is part of the analysis, right? Like, the world we live in And the future world we're headed toward is not a world where internet access is in short supply. It's like, it'd be like being like, yeah, you need a cup of water. It'd be like, well, yeah, and if that's what I need to run this piece of machinery, I can go get a cup of water. Like, internet's that accessible to people at this point. Now, you start talking about people that can't afford internet or that can't afford this. I don't think somebody who can't afford internet is going to have this enormous digital library. Now, they might go through stretches of time where they can't afford internet. But again, I don't think you're going to have enough people complaining about this. I'm not buying this has been a thing all gen. If it was, why doesn't it affect older games? Homie, I've had my PlayStation say this to me. This has been in place since the beginning of the gen. I said this yesterday. Whenever I would be switching PlayStations and primary PlayStations and offline PlayStations in my home so my kids could play, I would get this warning. We have to verify your licenses before you can play. It's 100% been in place. It has been. Now, maybe it wasn't like a strict 30-day countdown. Maybe it was more ad hoc. Maybe it just responded to people it doesn't affect older games. It 100% did this to me last year multiple times. And it was when I was switching PlayStations around. This is not a new idea that, like, they have to verify your license. It doesn't affect older bought games. It did last year to me. I literally had this message pop up last year. I assumed it was because I was switching PlayStations around. Is SpawnWave wrong? He could be incorrect, yes. That doesn't mean anything. Sometimes people are unaware. Sometimes people aren't sure. Sometimes people run with what's right now in front of them. He could be misinformed. I'm telling you, this thing happened to me last year multiple times. You're thinking about the primary thing. That's part of the thing that's always been a thing. No, it would literally say, because one of the PlayStations had been sitting and not being used for a while, and it would literally say, we have to verify your licenses. It would literally say that when I turned it on. It would sit for long stretches of time and not get used. Why are you defending it? I'm not defending it. I'm saying that it's been in position all this time, and the reason nobody noticed is because it doesn't come up. Like, the average person, the average consumer is not going 31 days without internet access. I'm not defending this at all. I literally just got done saying that I don't like the idea of locking down somebody's library because they don't have access to the internet. But you're not going to get enough people to complain about this. How many bits is that? 500 bits from RP Gaming. Thank you so much. And the Golden Kappa is over. There we go. You guys get access to Golden Kappa. Zubair and Creature says they'll defend it. It's a simple and reasonable ask for a digital library. Lono, on your PS5 Pro, do you plan a 27-inch OLED or is your screen much bigger? I don't know what the television they got me is pretty large. I'm not sure the exact size though. It's not 27. Creature's also anti-stop killing games, so who cares what he thinks? Do you know his position on stop killing games? I don't think he's anti-stop killing games. I think he's anti-requiring any company making a live service game to create layers of contingencies for whenever it gets shut down to hand it off, because that's an undue amount of extra development time for any developer in existence. Any small developer in existence that wants to make a live service game isn't going to necessarily be able to do that. I don't think he's like against the idea of we shouldn't be having games taken away from people. Like, I think we're all in support of the idea is that you should not be able to take people's games away from them. Some of us think it's too big of an ask to go to any studio of any size and say, if you're going to make an online game, you have to build it from the beginning to be able to hand off everything to the public to run their own servers. And a lot of companies are going to be like, we're not going to do that. We don't want to do that. They're not being taken away. There were games that were being taken away and were no longer working. I think their ideas and their intentions are great. I think they're going about it in a way where they're not going to have success. I think the Stop Killing Games initiative, I love what they're doing. I think it could get us closer to refunds on consoles. And I think their head and their heart is in the right place. I think they're going about it in a way where they're not going to get what they want. I think they've literally made it easy for the publishers to win because they're asking for something that I think you're going to have a really, really hard time getting approved. To me, as an online-only gamer, we need a way to play games even when they are not supported by the devs anymore, like dedicated servers. That was a sweet era with dedicated servers. Omar says, did you see the recent news on that? What recent news? They might be more successful than we anticipated. The minute any sort of law goes to get passed or regulation goes to get passed, Omar, it's going to be challenged. There is no way publishers are going to take that lying down to be like, if you start dictating what you have to do anytime you build an online live service game, do you know how many enormous publishers are going to step into the ring and fight that have massive games and have massive plans to build more games? They're going to fight that tooth and nail. Just because they're having success now doesn't mean it won't be challenged. The idea that thing's just going to go through without a hitch and they're going to get all of the things that they requested and all of a sudden all these companies making live service games are going to have to adhere to it. A co-op indie's in trouble. Yeah, they're going to have to come up with some very specific classifications because think of all these little co-op indie games that come out. Like, this is not an indie game, but when you play It Takes Two uses EA's servers. It does. You literally need their servers to be running for It Takes Two to work over the internet. Okay? So any small company that wants to build a game like that is now going to have to build their game within the parameters of what they're asking. What they're asking for is so far-reaching and will impact so many studios. There's no way it goes through unchallenged. You're just going to require anybody who makes an online game that requires any level of server infrastructure and needs to be built from moment one to be handed off to the public with here's all of our information. Here's how you set up dedicated servers. Every single game that comes out with online has to be able to do that. It has local co-op. The game would be incomplete without the ability to play online. The game would be incomplete. It would be an incomplete product. Their argument is that if you have a game that has dedicated servers and you decide to shut down those dedicated servers, you should hand that off to the public and then the public can run the dedicated servers. Like, gaming would not collapse. If there were suddenly no more live service games, there would be an enormous, enormous loss of revenue in the industry, yes. There would be a massive amount of revenue loss if there were suddenly not live service games. Live service games generate an obscene amount of revenue every year, whether it's Fortnite, Call of Duty, PUBG, Apex, all of the live service online ongoing games on Steam. Final Fantasy 14 and WoW and all these games, Arc Raiders. What do you mean? Like, some of the most successful, most revenue generating games in existence are live service games. The last thing you want to do, and this is what's really, really dangerous with that movement, is it's admirable and their heart is in the right place. But if you suddenly make it really difficult for indie games and AA games to make anything with online component or dedicated server component, like these small scrappy games that were trying to make games like when Splitgate was a thing, right? You basically would make it harder on them to bring their game to market because now they have to build the game from the ground up to hand it over. Like, again, I don't think people understand the ramifications of what they're asking. They're not simply asking, don't take the game away. They're saying it should be dictated by law that if you make a live service game, from the moment you make it, it needs to be made to be handed over to the public if you ever decide to shut down. Stop making live service games or eliminate the current ones. But why stop making them? If you anti-live service games, guys, if you'd have had your way a couple of years ago, there'd be no Arc Raiders. There'd be no Helldivers 2. You guys, it's such a weird position that, like, just in the last couple of years, we've had some of the most fun, most successful live service breakout titles, and yet people still insist, stop making live service games. And it's like, what? What do you, There are careers being made right now with Arc Raiders. There are careers that are going to be made with Grand Theft Auto Online, but stop making live service games. What? Marvel Tokone Fighting Souls is coming out. That's going to be a live service game. It's an absurd position to be like, you know, the thing that generates the most money in gaming and some of the most popular and fun and breakout titles that have come out in the last couple of years, yeah, I wish those things didn't exist. Why? What's it to you? A bunch of people are playing Arc Raiders and having a good time, or Helldivers 2, or they're going to play Marvel Tokone and have a good time, or they're going to play Grand Theft Auto Online and have a good time. What the frick is it to you? Go play something else. There's an ocean of single-player games to play right now. My backlog's ridiculous. There's no shortage of games. It's not like you're lacking in games to play. Stop Killing Games delivers an absolutely incredible hearing. There was no parliament member that wasn't responding positively. You're not refuting a single thing that I said, Omar. It's gonna be challenged. There isn't a universe where these major publishers do not challenge that initiative. There's not a world where it doesn't get challenged. They're gonna challenge it. They're gonna say, what you're asking is absurd. There is no way you're gonna get every studio, every publisher, every dev to fall in line with what they're asking for. They're all going to fight it and say, this is going to cost us more money. One of the most prevailing conversations right now in gaming commentary is that gaming development is getting absurdly expensive. Stop Killing Games, while I agree with the sentiment, is literally designed to make it more expensive to develop games. Like, they're going to make it more expensive to develop games. It's going to require more time, more dev work, more reworking of anything they're working on right now has to be retooled and rebuilt if this thing goes through without a hitch. They laid out how minimal the cost would actually be, and I think the policy does get put into place. Then they will adjust accordingly. I mean, they're obviously going to trot out how minimal the cost would actually be, but there's a cascade of potential changes that would have to happen in a company in order to have these policies met. They might have to hire more people. They might have to rework entire systems. The complexities of game development and server infrastructure is not a wand wave. How in the world could they speculate about the cost that this would take when you have like millions of amalgamations of development bandwidth and studio setups? Maybe they've been offloading or outsourcing some of the work for some of this stuff, and it's all done, and they're like, well, we're getting ready to ship, but since our game hasn't shipped yet, we now have to do this thing this regulatory body says we have to do. For them to posture as if they know the cost, it's like, again, I think publishers and devs are going to fight back and say, what you're asking for is absurd. We can't possibly be expected to do this for any online component in a game. You're going to have to be very specific in the types of games you're talking about. If I'm building a fun little 4-player co-op shooter, what's this game that just went into early access? The Cowboy one. I just got an email about it today. What's it called? Shoot, I deleted the email. Far West, I think is the name of it. That's an online game, likely made by a small studio. A Deep Rock Galactic. Any of these games would have to adhere to these rules. And maybe some studios, it's not a problem. It's super easy. But yeah, Far West is an example of a game right now that you would have asked them. The developer is Evil Raptor. They've made games like Akimbot and Pumpkin Jack. I would assume these guys are not some Leviathan studio that can just take on any additive cost. It went into early access today. It's got a 94%. It's like Helldivers meets Cowboys. It looks really, really fun. You're asking anybody that makes a game like this to adhere to all the stipulations. Everything that they're asking of an online component game, a live service game, this $18 indie early access game would have to adhere to those regulations. Now, maybe they could. Maybe it's super simple. But do you have any idea how many games are being made all of the time like this? How many studios would suddenly be like, well, we have to completely rework our entire game or change our game? Now, they're saying, oh, it's not retroactive. But if the game hasn't shipped yet, that's another question. If the game hasn't shipped yet, do they have to change the game before it ships? Is there going to be a grace period? Is there going to be like, well, for the next 2 years, any game that ships doesn't have to adhere to this? What's your solution? I actually think refunds are far more pertinent. I think we're fighting the wrong battle. I think stop killing games is the wrong fight. I think it could open the door to refunds. I think refunds are a far more important battle. You buying, let's say you buy Far Far West for $18. Let's say you spend another $100 in microtransactions in the game. You really like the game, you go a little crazy. So you spend $120. And let's say in 2 years the game just shuts down. Right? I would argue that is far less important than you being able to refund bad games. It's a far more prevalent and consistent problem where consumers are buying a product that isn't even ready. Why am I pearl clutching about a game that I played for 80 hours and then in 3 or 4 years it shuts down? It's like, it was an online game. I wasn't expecting to access that game for forever. But when I buy a game, I expect the game to be complete. I expect the game to be ready. I think that's fair. I think refunds are far more important. That is the frontline defense. Thank you, Chrono, for the raid. That is a frontline defense for the consumer to be protected against bad products. Does that make sense? I think refunds are far more important. I think we're fighting the wrong fight. It's like we're stressing over games that we know the way they're made. It's like, you know, you're not going to have access to this game for forever. Also, I want you to think about what they're fighting for a second. I've got some people to thank. Hang on. The OA with a $5 super chat says, I hate live service, therefore I want everyone to stop playing live service regardless of their choice. And Melrose Mike with 63 months says, good morning, Chat and Lono. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. I want you to think about this. What they're fighting for doesn't even guarantee you have access to the game permanently. It doesn't. Somebody would have to set up the dedicated servers. So let's just say it gets passed, and now all these companies have to adhere to it. Okay, so that's market-wide global impact on every studio making a game like this, right? Every studio making a game like this. And do you know the number of games that would never have dedicated servers anyway? Like these little indie titles, these little AA titles, maybe they crop up and people have fun with them for a couple of years, and then eventually the servers shut down. And nobody sets up the dedicated servers at that point because that's going to cost the consumer money. Some consumer at some level somewhere is going to have to fund that and pay for that. So a lot of the game, it's like you're not even really solving the problem. You still are going to have games that literally go away. You're not eliminating the problem at all. You're giving the consumer choice, which I think is admirable, but the problem is you're making a market-wide impact, and then the number of games that would even have people doing this for would be so minuscule. The number of games that still never have another dedicated server, never have another moment for you to play them, that would still be the vast majority of these games. They would just cease to exist because there's no way to play them anymore because they're online games. This guy says, you're making a bigger deal than it is. Plenty of games are built with full support with online and offline play. Examples are Ghost of Yotei. No, but if Ghosts of Yote's servers went down and you could no longer play Legends, it would be an incomplete product. It wouldn't have something that's accessible right now. So if you suddenly didn't have online components in a game, it would be an incomplete product. It would be like, hey, I can't interact with these things. It's the same price to make a game supporting offline play from the very beginning. No, it's not. They have to build their game and their infrastructure to literally hand over the information to be like, here, you can set up dedicated servers. You're not understanding? No, I'm fully understanding. Maybe I'm not understanding your point, but that's how they're literally saying that's what you have to do. If you're going to build a game that requires servers, you got to be able to hand that off to the consumer. Okay? What about games that don't use dedicated servers? They use listen servers. And they do peer-to-peer. Who's going to run those servers? Who? So now they have to set up what? How do you even do that? You're like, hey, this is a peer-to-peer game, but it requires listen servers so that you can match-make people together. Well, that's going to cost more money. They're going to have to basically go back and recode the game and make it to where this game can go on for forever. Peer-to-peer servers, that's not a thing. Peer-to-peer servers is a misnomer. There's no such thing as peer-to-peer servers. There are peer-to-peer games that rely upon listen servers to get you together, and then you're just playing connected over the internet to each other. But there's still a server that makes that happen. Who's going to run that? Who? Do you know how many peer-to-peer games that are out there that require some level of infrastructure to get you paired up? I'm playing a game with my wife called Dead Zone Rogue. If their server infrastructure goes down or isn't working, we wouldn't be able to matchmake. We wouldn't be able to play with each other unless they code it, unless they hard code it to not work that way. I don't think Stop Killing Games is arguing to have full dedicated end of service servers, but having an offline mode and or the ability to host your own servers. Yes, Wheezy, that's what I've been saying. It's that second part. They want every game with an online component to be handed off to the public, to be like, here, you can run your own servers, which means from the very beginning of development, it has to be built with that in mind. Countless games every year come out and don't do that. They're not built that way. This Far Far West game, I bet that they didn't build it for you just to hand it, just, oh yeah, the public can run it now. The public can run it. They can run their own servers. Most games don't develop themselves that way. They don't. And I don't even know how peer-to-peer games would do it. A peer-to-peer game would just become broken. If the server infrastructure that allows you to matchmake goes away, it's like, well, then now what do we do if there's no dedicated servers? We'll have an offline mode. Again, it doesn't work if it's an online game. If the game is meant to be played online, or if it's a strictly co-op game, like It Takes Two, it would become a strictly local game. You could no longer play that game online with your friends if those servers went down, the matchmaking servers. Because there was a night where Hilly and I went to play It Takes Two, and the EA servers were acting up, and we couldn't matchmake, and 20 minutes went by, and then we could matchmake, and we could come together. That was a co-op game. That was just two people playing together. You're dictating how a game like that has to be built. I think the publishers are going to fight back and say, this is absurd. Like, you're going to require even the smallest studio to adhere to these standards. And you're going to make it to where some games just simply can't come into existence. Like, how do you make a game like that be a permanent fixture? How? I don't understand. Let's make all game devs do a lot of extra work in the rare off chance you want to take over. Tell me your industry, so I can find some way for you to do more work in the rare off chance that I use it, says AOZ. Yeah, Destiny 1 and 2 are perfect examples. Those are games that don't have dedicated servers. They're peer-to-peer, and yet there is a server infrastructural system that has to be in place for you to be able to play. There are listen servers. There are some dedicated servers that run some things server-side. That entire infrastructure would have to be handed over to the public? Like, what? There could be proprietary information in there that they don't want to share with the public. Ways of detecting cheats. Ways of detecting exploits. I don't know. We've gone from having users hosting servers themselves back in the early days of PC gaming to the devs and the publishers hosting the servers themselves, TBH. Well, there's also new technology that makes peer-to-peer more streamlined and more efficient. Like back in the day when I would play Rise of Triad, my friend would have to go into some setting blue screen, get his IP address, send me the IP address on AOL Instant Messenger. I'd have to type the IP address in with the port and then connect to him directly. So there's entire systems now that are basically just streamlining it. There's entire backbones, to games like the Epic Online services. They were literally using Epic Online services for you to play Returnal co-op on Steam, and all the Steam guys lost their dadgum minds and thought that the Epic Game Store got Ghost installed. And so that's a game right there that leaned on existing infrastructure for you to be able to play it with somebody else. If that infrastructure goes away one day, that part of the game doesn't work. It's now an incomplete product. So they had to build that part of the game in order for it to work in perpetuity within the hands of the consumer. Do you know what they're going to do? They're not going to develop it. That's what they're going to do. They're going to say, screw it. We're not doing that. Yeah, we were going to add this really fun free update to the game to allow you to play with other people. And when we brought it to PC, we utilized the Epic Online Store for the online component. But if we're going to do that, according to this regulation, we have to make this workable in perpetuity in the hands of the consumer. We're not going to do it. We're not going to develop it. We're going to be held to some weird regulatory decision. Well, yeah, we're not going to do it then. We're not going to develop it. Why would we do that? That's what devs are going to do. That's what publishers are going to do. They're going to crunch the potential cost, and they're going to say, yeah, we're just not going to do it then. And how many small studios working on games like Far, Far West are staring down this barrel and thinking, we didn't make our game to be like this. What? It has to be accessible for forever? We have to hand off, we had to build it so that you can run your own dedicated servers? We didn't do that. We didn't build the game that way. They'll have no other choice if they want to sell the game in that region. I don't think this is as simple as everybody thinks that it is. I think refunds were an easier slam dunk. It was a far easier slam dunk to give clear, public, verifiable evidence that games ship incomplete and the consumer is not protected. You could use Cyberpunk as your best example. You could say this, in this instance, the consumer was not protected. The companies had to step in. PlayStation had to step in to protect the consumer and give people refunds. That's a far easier slam dunk win. I don't think they're going to win this fight because publishers and developers are going to start coming together and saying, this is absolutely tectonic and seismic. This is not a simple wand wave. You can't come into existing infrastructure of game development and teams and how this is all working and ask every single game and every single studio across the globe to do this if they want to sell the game in your region. That's the issue with it. The issue isn't the intent. I think the intent is so good. It's like, no, we don't want games to go away. But online games are different. They're built in a different way. And to ask every single iteration of an online game to adhere to this, I just think is absurd. I don't think you're going to be able to do it. It can't be black and white. There needs to be more nuance. Improvements can be made rather than a blanket decision. Aren't there games that avoid countries that made loot boxes illegal? It's just like that. They will just not sell there. Well, and that, as a regulatory body, you'd have to consider the cost it would have on your economy if major publishers start avoiding your region because you've made it too hard to ship online games there. They'd be like, well, frick your region. We can make a bundle in Asia. We don't need you. Like, we'll make a bundle in America and Asia. It's fine. We won't ship our game there. Especially if they're shipping their game in China. Like if it's an online game, whether it's a mobile game, or these gacha games and stuff, they make a killing. And they're going to be like, yeah, we're not building our game like that. Yeah, screw your region. We just won't ship there. That's what some of these companies will do. They'll crunch the numbers and be like, yeah, we're not doing that. They can't afford to lose countries like Germany or France. Some of these games could 100% be fine. They flourish much more in the Asian markets. They could easily skip those countries. They wouldn't want to, but they could. Like, yeah, small devs especially. Small studios would be like, well, we either completely retool our game before shipping it, or we just won't ship in that region. Good luck telling the entirety of the EU to piss off. That's what Apple said they could do. Cat Uncle, you realize there are entire edifices of technology and hardware and software that ship and sell almost outside of Asia. They sell almost nowhere else. Like, they almost only primarily sell in China. Like, there are companies that will just start to target those markets that don't do this. They're like, well, we'll just go where we don't have to worry about this stuff. And especially small studios. A small studio is like, well, sure, I guess we could try and retool our entire game, or we could hopefully rely on all the other regions of the world to make our money. Because again, if you're a small studio, you're probably crunching the numbers and you're like, yeah, that's going to affect our sales, that's going to affect our footprint, but what if they don't have the money, if they don't have the budget to retool their game? Imagine Marathon not shipping in Europe. Yes, there are specific examples of games that can't afford to skip Europe. That is 100% true. There are studios that wouldn't be able to afford it. There are developers that would not be able to afford skipping Europe. PlayStation studios especially would not want to skip Europe. PlayStation does very well in the United States and Europe. They actually have a stronger presence there than in Japan. So, like, they would 100%, make sure and adhere to this, because they would be like, well, if we want to ship our live service game there, like, let's say they're building Helldivers 3 or something as an example, and this thing got passed. Well, they would want to be in that region. So they'd have to build Helldivers 3 with some sort of an infrastructural change, so that if the servers ever go down, they can say, you guys can run your own Helldivers 3 servers. They'd have to build the game that way from the start. PlayStation could afford onerous requirements. I'm not worried about Sony. Yeah, big companies could afford it. I still think some of the bigger publishers would fight it because they don't want to have increase in cost, because they know what that does. It slows dev time, and it affects margins. Oh, I forgot the schedule. We were really going there. I don't know. I don't see a problem with it. I'm not extremely opposed or supporting it. I just think there are these are the intangibles. What are the ramifications this would have on smaller studios? Like a game like Far Far West. What are the ramifications of this of stop killing games on smaller studios? Like, a lot of these online games that people have been building, like when Splitgate came out, Far Far West. There was another one recently. What was the Frontier game that got killed by cheaters? What is it going to do to game studios like that? Like, what's it going to do to them? Like, if they're not prepared to build their game in this way or to retool their game in this way, what's it going to do to them? Because, like, they're not in the position to just like, oh, well, we'll just increase our operational costs a little bit, like, like a company the size of PlayStation can afford to do, and just crunch it and be like, okay, well, we'll make it up in another way. Hang on, that's the live countdown. Here we go. So, if anybody clips this and tries to make it seem like I'm against the initiative, they're a liar. I've never once said I'm against the initiative. I said I think they're asking for too much, and they're going to make it really, really easy for the publishers to fight against it because they're asking for too much. They're going to be able to argue disproportionate harm. They're going to be able to argue all sorts of things. Undue harm, who knows how many small studios could chime in and say, yeah, we're not in a position to deal with this. This would completely, sideline and stop our development. We'd have to completely retool our game, and we're not in a position to do that right now. Like, I feel like they're asking for something that's too difficult to ask for, and in the process, that's why it's going to fail. I think refunds would be a far better win for the consumer, and it'd be such an easy slam dunk. You could reference things like Cyberpunk. You could reference things like, You could reference things like Steam and how Steam empowers the consumer to be protected. They're 100% empowered to be protected. So you could reference the fact that this is already in place on Steam. And you could literally use the Stop Killing Games argumentation that, like, hey, these companies have basically conceded the fact that they can take the license away. If you can take the license away, I can give it back. Like, that logic tracks. If you can just take my license away willy-nilly whenever you feel like it, well, then I can give it back. Games would go region exclusive to start and only expand to Europe if they were successful enough. Just think ahead a few steps. That's what would rational actors do. Yeah, what Zubair is saying is entirely plausible. Smaller studios would be like, well, let's launch. We'll go smaller scope. We won't launch in that region, and then if we find success, we'll ship, and we'll figure out a way to to update the game and get it ready for that region. Developers would have a massive loophole because they could strip the game down to minimum viable product before releasing it to the public after shutting down. There's nothing stopping them from dropping a corpse of a game. Well, and that's what the regulation would probably have to stipulate. They'd probably have to stipulate something to the point of, like, the game would have to retain its launch, its at some level, some of its launch properties. Taking entire key markets to save millions when the potential to make billions is not something a board would tolerate. I'm not sure I understand what you're saying, Silent Spartan. For this argument, let's assume smartly crafted legislation without loopholes. Yeah, I think the idea is, like, maybe you could incentivize companies to do this. Rather than mandate it, you could incentivize it. And you could say, hey, if you build your game in this way, we're going to give you some kind of a tax break or something, in our, legislative process. We're going to motivate you to do this because we think this is good for the consumer. But you can't mandate. You mandate it, then every single studio of every size has to adhere to this. Everybody looks at the big dogs. They look at Ubisoft, and they look at EA, and they look at PlayStation, and they look at Tencent, and look at all these major publishers, and they're like, screw those guys. Yeah, this would make it so they can't do that ever again. And it's like, yeah, and in the wake of this legislative change, every single developer of every size would have to adhere to this. Yo, what's good, Chris? Thank you for 55 months over there on YouTube, and thank you, C Squared, for your Prime sub 3 years over there on... Oh, it's the same guy. Thank you so much, Chris. Double dipping. You don't know you'll make billions unless you're Fortnite or COD. Everything else is risky. Let's not pretend that they're going to get 100% of everything they ask for. These things take a while. That's why I said, when I listened to the presentation that he made, I thought he did a very good job, but then I heard him say a couple of things, and I'm like, I think you're making it really, really easy for the publishers to argue against you. I think he handed them some easy dunks for them to be like, this is absurd to ask of every developer and every publisher across the globe. Like, this is absurd to request. This is undue harm. This is unreasonable. You're going to literally squash development. You're going to make some studios just abandon their projects entirely. There's no instance where a company would stop doing business in Europe. The cost to create offline modes is not worth the loss of potential revenue. Companies would eat that cost. I think medium and smaller size studios, and I also think studios that make the bulk of their money in Asia, would 100% be like, well, we'll just skip that region. Like, not every game, but there are certainly games that would be like, we make like 80% of our revenue in Asia. We'll be fine. Like, if we're going to ship a sequel to our game and we make most of our money in the Asian market, we're fine. Won't ship there. We don't want to do that. We don't want to build our game. We don't want to do that. We don't want to build our game with an offline mode. We don't want to build our game to hand over dedicated service to the public. We don't want to do that. That's what developers and publishers are going to be weighing. They're going to be weighing the cost of, like, is it within our business interest? Do we want to do that? Or do we just want to ship over here and not go over there? Lono, for what it's worth, digital refunds is a bigger uphill battle than the current initiative because now you get Google, Amazon, Apple, etc. involved. Well, I think you would start with the three major platforms. You would say in the realm of video games. Now, I guess what you're saying is if the ramifications would impact across the board, like would Amazon, Google, and would they get in the fight and make it impossible to get through? I'm thinking in the realm of games, like in the realm of within the realm of digital online purchases of video games, we have clear and present evidence that games ship incomplete and broken, and then the customer is left holding that product and can't do anything with it. I personally have no skin in the game as I'm a single player only player, but typically those games that only exist in Asia aren't really high quality games. Do you think they care? Like, do you think you think a mobile MMO that generates more revenue in a year than some country's entire GDP, like, do you think they give a frick, like, about the quality of the game? They don't care. They're making money. Like, that's my point, Silent, is that the potential here is you could hurt smaller to medium-sized studios. You could hurt them in the process. And in addition, you could also make it to where certain games are just going to say, that's not even really a big market for us. We'll just skip that market. The EU is annihilating external relations and trade at warp speed. Just look at how poor the European games industry is compared to Japan and the US. Where are all the German and French tech giants? Yeah, I don't know much about, like, global economic realities. Hang on. That comment of eat the cost should be more like they will pass the cost on the consumer. People already hate paying $70. You're going to like paying $100 to have a game you probably won't be playing in 5 years. I keep people saying they will eat the cost. That is so not true. The consumer will eat the cost always. That's an excellently made point. These companies will pass the cost on to the consumer. That's how they operate. They're going to protect their margins. That's literally what their job is to do. They're going to protect their margins. So if this rolls out and they have to do it, and it does incur cost onto the company, they will figure out a way to alleviate that. They will either shrink their budget by laying people off, or they'll pass the cost off onto the consumer. So I think their intentions are good, and I think that they have every right to fight against games being taken away from them. But I think the requirement in order for this to work is so far-reaching. Every indie and AA game that builds an online game having to adhere to this would be seismic and tectonic within the development world. They'd all of a sudden have to be like, wait, we have to retool our entire game. If you build a game that's completely peer-to-peer and leverages some sort of dedicated servers or listened servers, and you never anticipated having to do this, and then you suddenly now have to, That's the other thing that I don't know if the legislation stipulates. So, like, it's not retroactive, but what if you haven't shipped your game yet? What if you're 4 years into dev, you're a year and a half away from shipping, and this thing passes? What are you going to do? Sorry, we were trying to get an appointment rescheduled. We can't. Live service players are totally fine paying exorbitant prices for digital goods. I'm less concerned about the major publishers and developers. I think they're going to be the first in line to fight it because they're the ones that will have the legal means to have representation, lobbying, or like a legal team to put together a really compelling argument, right? They're the ones that are going to have the financial means to try to fight this. So I think the major publishers are going to fight it because they're going to have the means of doing it. They have, they have a lot of these guys have lawyers like on staff. My concern about impact, if it passes, is that you're going to impact every indie, every AA studio. And I'm sure you could find some that are like, this is no big deal. We could easily retool our game to do that. But there's going to be a ton of games that can't say that. They're going to be like, we did not build our game with this in mind. We didn't. Nobody has this morning who's in support of this seems to have an answer for that. There's an ocean of games that have online components or online levels of play that come from small teams. What do those small teams have to do if this becomes a requirement and it's going to cost them extra money? What do they do? Do you see? It's like that I think is a complete and fair question to ask because they're the ones that I think would be more directly impacted by this because they would have to do something that was never within the purview of what they were building, and now all of a sudden they have to. Cost being passed off to them makes perfect sense. If they are trying to make an online game last forever, they should be fine paying $25 for a skin. All the $3 indies with co-op can't survive any requirements like these. They just don't get made or don't get made as live service. More Crimson Deserts and fewer MMOs. Yeah, and is there allowance for that? Is there allowance for a game to basically have its co-op function stop working? Right? It just ceases to work. And then what do you do? Is that okay? Is that considered an incomplete product? Is that considered a game that, that should have been handed off to the consumer at some level? Give me 1 second. A big point of stop killing game of SGA is that when live service reaches end of service is to have an offline playable mode or even do an offline version like some gacha games get to be actual games with the whole thing without needing to do the pull mechanic or the offline mode of the MMO. They do exist and it can be done. Whether it times to re-release or do the update. Right. So the question would be, if you're going to require that of every single studio, that means every medium to small size developer that wants to build a game like that has to spend the time to do all those things. What if they've never even conceived of an offline mode for their game? They're like, what? Offline mode? This is a game that requires servers to work. They built entire protocols and enemy AI and in-world infrastructural responses that need a server to work. And you're like, yeah, make an offline mode. And they're like, what? Huh? It was never in the purview of the project, and now they have to? So you're going to ask that developer to spend a bunch of extra dev time and money if they want to ship their game in that region if this passes. Do you see the problem with that? This is not a flip of a switch. This is not simplistic. And they can say it doesn't cost that much money. But small studios, sometimes their budgets, man, their margins are razor thin. Like, we've been talking so much as gamers about the rising cost of development and how budgets are getting too large, and you want to pass something that would inevitably make it more expensive to develop games for every single studio at any size. That's the issue. I love the idea of being like, you can't take games away from us. Yeah, I agree with that. They shouldn't just be able to, like, willy-nilly just yank your licensure away. That's fair, and that's the kind of things that should be getting passed, as well as ways to let us doing refunds. But asking all developers of all size that are building some level of online component in their game to build it to function offline or to hand over infrastructural information so that you can run dedicated servers on your own, asking all studios of all size to do that, I think is absurd. It's absurd. What are you going to do in an online-only game by yourself? It has been done. Offline mode is making them purchase a game. I'm not saying it hasn't been done. I'm saying you're requiring all studios to do it, and if it wasn't initially in their plans, now they have to, because they haven't shipped their game yet. In this hypothetical, it's passed. They haven't shipped their game yet, and now they have to retool their game to adhere to this regulation. Well, that's going to cost them a significant amount of money, probably. It's like, well, we got to retool the entire game. If you've built your game to have the AI, the enemies, and like some of the world logic running on a server, you can't just say, "What? Just build an offline mode, bro. Just flip the offline mode switch, bro." It's not that simple. They've tooled the entire game to run significant portions on a server. There is no, just make an offline mode. They'd have to rebuild significant portions of the game. It can be done. It just takes time. The ones that got end of service get turned into games a month later to have a pull package. You just restated that it has been done. You're not interacting with what I'm saying. Zubair says, here's an analogy. Any band that wants to put their music online has to put down a $1,000 deposit for archiving in a live forever library. What happens? Taylor Swift doesn't care, but what about the garage band? Right, and that's just a matter of writing a check. That's not like, this is an unknown amount of money. They don't know how long it would take to retool their game. They don't know. It happens at the end of service? Nope. No. This is not stipulating that you can do it at end of service. It's saying that from the beginning, you need to, one of the things they said is from the beginning, you need to say when the game is going to shut down. That's an absurd request. There's not a studio in existence that can tell you that. I literally listened to the presentation. Requiring studios to tell you when the game's going to shut down? Are you insane? No, who knows that? Nobody knows that. Nobody has ever launched their live service game and they're like, in 19 and a half months, we're going to run out of money. Like, no, nobody knows that. It's an absurd request. Also, they stipulate games should be built from the beginning to be handed off to the consumer. What happens when they run out of money? What do? They run out of money. Fluctuations in the market happen. They burn through their capital too fast, and they run out of money. And they can't afford to pay anybody to retool the game, so they shut down, and the game's just sitting there. Who are you going after? Who are you finding? Who? Now you want the government going after every studio that runs out of money and has to close down? A few games also gave peer-to-peer connection, meaning the person. All right. I feel like you're just continuing to use anecdotal evidence and you're not interacting with the larger problem that the entire industry would have to fall under this requirement. Every studio of every size would have to do this. You're talking about AA studios and small studios that would suddenly have to completely change their entire pipeline of development to make sure that they fall within the purview of this requirement. And that would cost them all money. Just because you can cite examples of it being done doesn't engage with what I'm saying. It would cost money and time to get that done. And it's an unknown amount of money. They don't know how long it would take to retool the game. It's not like, oh, it's $1,000. Just pay the $1,000. It's like, no, it could take significantly longer than they anticipated. They could run into problems. They could run into glitches and bugs and errors and things that don't function properly because the game was never originally designed to be that way. This could be the first step in the fight to own digital goods instead of licenses. I don't think this fight is even remotely in that realm. I don't think that it is. This fight's in the realm of preventing games from going away, not making it to where you no longer buy licensure. You'd have to completely retool the entire industry. You'd have to retool the entire industry. Every single company, every single platform holder does licensure. All the end user license agreements, all of that would have to be retooled, rewritten, and readjusted. That would be the ramifications of that would be absolutely that would be destructive to the market itself. They don't have to. It's a choice if the companies do. No, this entire thing is designed to require it. The developers who can't adapt will no longer exist. Bad for gamers, but the government won't care. What if they grandfather all current games and ask if it's possible to be done by the corporation of the public for current games, then all games going forward? That's why I said the difficulty is how many thousands of games are in development right now that would be like, well, we didn't ship our game yet, so we have to adhere to this. There'd be a scramble to like ship your game into early access or something so that you could basically get quote unquote grandfathered in. Like, that's the other thing that isn't really stipulated. It's like, what about a game that's in development right now? Let's say they're a year away from shipping and they're like, we didn't build our game to be like that, like, at all. We did not build our game to be like that, and now we have to. Well, what the heck do we do? Do you see? It's like it's not as simple as just like, yeah, just change your game, bro. Hang on, I'm getting ready. We have to switch gears to the new stream. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button on this stream before we leave. Let's try to get to 300 likes before we leave. A grace period would be needed. Yeah, you'd need like years of grace. You'd have to be like, anybody that ships their game in the next 2 to 3 years doesn't have to adhere to this because there's so many games that would be in development. You couldn't conceivably make that a requirement. You'd have so many people that would be screwed. They'd be like, we didn't build our game that way at all. All right, I'm going to give you guys a link, and we're going to go, and we're going to start a new stream. Okay. Okay. My timer is no longer needed. Okay. There's a link in chat. That's where we're headed. Thank you so much for checking out this video. This is going to be the road to launch event for the Blood of Dawnwalker. I keep calling it the Blood of the Dawnwalker. Anyway, we are going to get a Dawnwalker release date. You can skip ahead 25 minutes if you look over there. The premiere will start in 25 minutes. It's a 45-minute presentation. We're going to get new gameplay, new open world gameplay, a new story trailer. And they have said that we will indeed get a release date. So if you're watching this later, make sure and hit the like button or subscribe. If any portions are muted, that is something I don't have control over. It would mean that they used copyrighted music. I'm going to end the previous stream and bring people over with redirect. We did a Blood of the Dawnwalker event waiting room. That is something we do on this channel. We all kind of get together and we kind of wait for the event to start.